We made it to Friday. It's our football Friday, our first football Friday for the Desmond Johnson Show since we launched a couple of weeks back. Ryan Smith in the house from Tobacco Road Sports Radio. Loaded show here on your lunch break. We're going to do a little buy or sell NFL version with Ryan. We've got best bets with Ryan Stone coming in a little bit. And Joe Deleone from the Ruffin and Joe Show will show up and give us his top 3 college football games to watch this weekend. We are full-blown football frenzy. It's the Desmond Johnson Show. Oops.
Live with Desmond Johnson, son, the live is one. Represent NC to the fullest.
Yeah, welcome to the Carolinas. Everywhere you go, the sky is Carolina blue, the finest. Live action, feedback, the city need that. I've been #1, no cap. Here's the recap. Adrenaline is my addiction. I'm about to relapse. Step on the turf if you won't and get your weed whack. I'm going harder than a martyr on the starter in. It's the heart of man, that's a rap like a cardigan. I'm breaking records, it's 4th and inches, I count the seconds. The over-under's my roar of thunder, my secret weapon. Yeah, the game is to be told. I don't break, I break modes. Follow me on Tobacco Road.
Live with Desmond Johnson, son, the live is one. Represent NC to the fullest.
And we are in a football rundown Friday here on Tobacco Road Sports Radio. Loaded Desmond Johnson show. And of course, if you haven't heard by now, we are your home for high school football here in the Triad. Not 1, not 2, not 3 or 4, 5 live games we're running because we're nuts. We're running them tonight. all over the place. Some of the biggest games in the Triad. We got Grimsley versus Reagan. We have East Forsyth taking on AC Reynolds. I'll be on the call there in Asheville later on tonight. We've got Glenn taking on Julius Chambers from Charlotte. We got that tonight. We got the big one out in Clemens, West Forsyth, undefeated West Forsyth taking on the defending 4A state champion Weddington Warriors. We got that tonight. We got Southwest Guilford versus High Point Central tonight. We got you covered across the Triad for all of your high school football needs. We'll have Ryan Stone in just a bit, as well as Joe Deleone, giving us their best bets and their top games for the week. I wanted to talk a little NFL talk because we're finally here. We're pre-taping this one, so we can't really talk about Chiefs and Ravens from last night, but I wanted to give an overall view of the NFL and do a little buy or sell. The guy who's been working his butt off for Tobacco Road for the past year or so. You've probably seen his face on a number of different podcasts. He's the host of Inside the Vault, a Carolina Panthers podcast. He's also a co-host of Winning the Division, which debuted last week with former NFL tight end Ben Troop. And he's also the host of Triad All-Stars, where he gets a chance to catch up with former high school athletes and coaches here in the Triad that were star players. Mr. Ryan Smith in the house. What's going on, Ryan? How you doing?
Hey, Desmond, I'm good. Good to be on with you and excited for football season to be back.
Let's just dive right into it. So I pulled some stuff buy or sell. With you being a Carolina Panthers podcast host on the Keep Pounding Podcast Network, which you should all follow if you're Carolina Panther fans, I figured we might as well just start it off with a Carolina Panthers question. Buy or sell, the 2024 Carolina Panthers can win the NFC South?
Well, is there a third option for buy, sell, or hold? Can we hold? Is that an option?
You got buy or sell. It's
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll put you on the spot here.
All right. I am going to say buy. And the reason I'm going to say buy is because of, let's just go team by team. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers lost Dave Canales. They have Liam Cohen coming in as their new offensive coordinator, but he's unproven with Baker Mayfield. We don't know how that's going to gel. Baker Mayfield was good with Dave Canales last year, but can he do it once again? That defense is getting older from their Super Bowl era with Tom Brady. They are 3-time defending champions of the division, but the NFC South is so bad, you just never know year to year. Atlanta, Kirk Cousins coming off a torn Achilles. That in and of itself, 36-year-old quarterback worries me. Bijan Robinson's the real deal. I'm a Florida fan, so Kyle Pitts is also the real deal. So that offense is scary. However, Atlanta is like the New York Jets to me. Until I see it, that's when I'll believe it. So until I see it, that's when I'll believe it. And the New Orleans Saints, probably the team that Panthers are most compared to in the division from kind of where they are at as far as building their team. The Saints, really, really old on defense. Cam Jordan has played forever, and so has Marshawn Lattimore. And then on offense, Derek Carr is still Derek Carr. Alvin Kamara is, I think, a year younger than Christian McCaffrey, but he also has a lot of wheels on the tires. Yeah, tread on the tires. I think the Panthers can win Week 1 in New Orleans coming up on Sunday. Is the first game for the Panthers. Very winnable game. Is it going to be easy? No doubt. Or a very hard game. Not going to be easy to win, but they can win. The schedule is 5th easiest in the league, so very manageable schedule from that standpoint. And we have a little bit more depth this year, which I think is going to help us throughout the season. I know I'm going long-winded here, so buying the Carolina Panthers, winning the division. I'll just say it. My floor for this team is 6-11, but my ceiling is 9-8, and that is not as far-fetched as you might think if we can get some of those victories over teams that you might not expect.
I mean, they were in rock fights all year last year, and dysfunctional offensive room, and I can only think of like 2 times they really got blown out, like the Miami game last year, and then there was another one later on in the season when it was pretty much a wrap, where they weren't really playing anybody. So, yeah, I think just off the defense alone, they're going to be in games. And if the offense is just marginally better than what we saw last year, they should be fairly competitive. I think this is going to be the year people are going to remember why Bryce Young was the number 1 overall pick 2 years ago, because they kind of all forgot why everybody was wanting to have him in the first place. I got Ryan Smith in the house, podcast host on Tobacco Road Sports Radio Network. You can follow us at youtube.com/@Tobacco Road Sports Radio. The AFC North is the toughest division in football. Buy or sell?
Oh, I'm buying. I don't know why people are talking about the NFC North being the toughest. They're number 2 in my opinion. But yeah, AFC North that's easily the number 1 division in football on a tough schedule. Let's go down the list. Lamar Jackson, 2-time MVP, enough said. They added Derrick Henry. The RPO there is going to be absolutely crazy throughout the year. Joe Burrow coming off his wrist surgery. He and Jamar Chase are college teammates. They're loaded on offense. Their defense is underrated with Lou Amarillo. Still can't believe he hasn't had a head coaching job in the NFL yet. Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin, is he ever going to be under 500? I'm not betting on it. I mean, he might be, but I'm not betting on it because it hasn't happened yet. So they're going to be right there. And then Cleveland, will the real Deshaun Watson please stand up? Because that is the key. But they have a championship level defense under Jim Schwartz. I had them on my fantasy, full disclosure, last year, and they brought me 3rd place in my division, my championship. But at the end of the day, that is a really tough division. If the Panthers played in that division, I would already say we'd be 4th place in that first question. That division is absolutely loaded.
I mean, just look at the quarterbacks. The quarterbacks in that division, you've got Joe Burrow, you got Lamar Jackson, a 2-time MVP. You got Russell Wilson. You got, Deshaun Watson. We'll see what happens with those 2. But, yeah, I agree. I think the AFC North is the toughest division in football. Lamar Jackson needs to reach the Super Bowl to be truly an elite quarterback in the NFL. True or false?
I'm going to say false. And I only say that because I think Lamar has proven, being a 2-time MVP, that he already is an elite quarterback. Now, I get it. It's like he came into the wrong era with Mahomes being born. He and Josh Allen, kind of, you could think that way. Mm-hmm. He's already an elite quarterback. Now, Dan Marino, we thought was always an elite quarterback. He didn't win Super Bowl, but people still talk about him like he was like one of the greatest all time, because he was, but he didn't win a Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson, if he never wins a Super Bowl, if he continues to get to the AFC Championship game, if he continues to get MVPs or be right in the running, he's going to still be really, at the end of the day, he's going to still be had as one of the best have ever played the position. So I'm going to say sell on reaching the Super Bowl to be an elite player.
I'm going to go a little rapid fire here to get the last 3 in for you. The Aaron Rodgers and the New York Football Jets will miss the playoffs. Buy or sell?
I'm definitely buying. Again, I got to see what to believe with the New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers played 4 snaps last year. That defense is nasty, but the offense is just, I need to see it first. I know Aaron Rodgers is the guy, but I got to see it first.
The Dallas Cowboys will win the NFC East. Buy or sell?
I'm also selling. I think the Philadelphia Eagles will win this year. I think it is their time once again. They are improved on the defensive back end with those 2 corners from Iowa and Toledo, respectively, and bringing in Kellen Moore to run the offense. I think there's going to be a good matchup with Jalen Hurts. We'll see what happens there. And I think Dallas is actually going to take a little bit of a step back this year. Micah's still going to be really good as usual, but as a whole on offense, besides CeeDee Lamb, who do they got? I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah. Surprised they haven't signed Dak to a deal yet. Surprised that Mike is still waiting on his money. They waited to the last minute to sign CeeDee Lamb basically last week, and he ended up getting every dollar we thought he was going to get. So I don't know why they're waiting so long to do this. They're already kind of slotted in spots already. Dak was a MVP candidate last year. So we'll see what the Cowboys did. They didn't do a whole lot of offseason moves roster-wise, but they've won 12 regular season games the past 2 seasons. So we'll see what they do in the regular season. And then the elephant in the room, I saved it for last. Kansas City will make history and three-peat, buy or sell.
Definitely selling that one because I am not going to – don't get me wrong. Yes, I learned not to go against Patrick Mahomes.
I was about to say, yeah.
But there's a reason no one's ever done it. It's very, very hard to do. Now, I will caveat by saying I am selling. However, I would not be surprised if they did end up doing it. I wouldn't be surprised. Obviously, it's Patrick Mahomes. But I'm selling because the team that nobody is talking about that can beat the Kansas City Chiefs this year and go to the Super Bowl on the AFC side is the Cincinnati Bengals. 1, they've already done it. 2, Joe Burrow is back healthy. And I know, too, that's a big if. He's got to stay healthy. I realize that. And, again, their defense is criminally underrated with Lou Amarillo as their defensive coordinator. Still, as I said, thought he was going to have a head coaching job a few years ago. He did not. Von Bell's back there from back there at safety again. That was a little bit of a loophole they were missing communication-wise in their back end. Sam Hubbard and company is very good up front, and I think they are going to be right there when it's all said and done.
All right. I don't know yet. I haven't decided with Kansas City because on one hand, I agree with you. It's never been done before. It's a reason why it's never been done before. Then again, I've never seen Pat Mahomes before. Like, this is just something that it took a while to get to this because I was defiant that Pat Mahomes could not be doing what he's doing. But at this point, I'm just like, man, I don't. He's entering his prime. Like right now, already has. Exactly. So we'll see. But you can catch Ryan on all of his pods inside the Vault of Carolina Panthers podcast on the Keep Pounding Podcast Network. Also winning the division with NFL former tight end Ben Troop. That's also on the Keep Pounding Podcast Network. And Try It All Stars, which you can find on Tobacco Road Sports Radio. Ryan, we'll have you back hopefully next Friday.
Sounds good. Talk to you then.
And when we come back in just a bit, we'll get a little bit more into it with Best Bets with Ryan Stone and the 3 college football games you should be paying attention to this weekend with Joe Deleone. It's the Desmond Johnson Show. Welcome back into the Desmond Johnson Show here on a Football Frenzy Friday. We shout out to Ryan Smith, who came in and did a little NFL buy or sell. Right now, favorite of mine, Joe Deleone from the Bleav Network. You can catch him on Rufino and Joe weekly. They do a lot of college football talk. I think heavy SEC talk, if I'm not mistaken, too, with you guys.
We've opened up to a lot of just national conversation, but nice. A lot of yelling for anyone who's into that type of a show.
So I wanted to get you on because it is that time of the year. We've already seen some upsets over the first week and a half of the, I don't know how much you call week 0, but over the first 2 weeks of the college football season. I wanted to get Joe's top 3 college football games this week because we have some huge ones actually going into it, some Big Ten SEC type clashes and things of that sort. So give me your first one here. What's the first game on your list of college football games to look at this upcoming weekend?
Yeah, I think the most obvious one is this Michigan versus Texas matchup that's in Ann Arbor. This has a lot of implications for both sides. Michigan looking to build off of what was a pretty rough start offensively against Fresno State. And Texas is looking to make a statement. They're looking to say, hey, we're deserving to be in this national championship conversation like Oregon, like Georgia, and Ohio State were from the jump. Don't forget about us. We're just as dominant. And I think that this game is going to be super low scoring, Desmond. I think that because of the issues that we saw with Davis Warren and then also Alex Orji, who they were rotating at quarterback a bit in the Fresno State game, with how much they struggled to move the ball through the air, they're not going to put up a ton of points. But inversely, for that Texas offense to be able to be as productive against what's still one of the best defenses in the country for Michigan could be a little bit of a slow day. I think Texas wins this one because they just have a little bit more juice offensively. And again, they're looking to prove to everybody, hey, we are a part of this national championship convo.
Yeah, and it feels like Texas is going to really have a say in the SEC. I think a lot of people were thinking Texas and Oklahoma were going to take a year or two to kind of acclimate to the SEC, but it feels like Texas is kind of taking on all bums right now. Like whoever, like come on in here. And it feels like they're already going to be at the top of that list of who should be at the top of the SEC at the end of the year in their first year at the SEC, which is unheard of. Give me your second college football game to watch this upcoming week.
Yeah, not a ranked matchup, but one that is certainly generating a lot of headlines. And God, the reaction after this game is going to be ridiculous, which is why I love it. Colorado versus Nebraska. It's being played at Nebraska. We all know the obvious headlines that are coming into this, which is, Deion Sanders, Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders. It has been just so intriguing to keep up with that team and everything that they every storyline that surrounds them this whole offseason. It's just such a volatile team to cover and to keep track of. And now we have Nebraska with their own version of a star that is building in Dylan Raiola, who had an amazing first game as a true freshman against UTEP. I think that if Nebraska pulls this game out, the conversation that could be had is this Dylan Raiola kid the next big thing in college football? Should he transfer? Should he stay? How big is his ceiling? How good can Nebraska get if he does stick around? And then the flip side of this is, Colorado needs this win. They need to quiet any of the haters, which there's many of them for Colorado. Their offensive attack might just be a little bit too much, in my opinion, for Nebraska secondary.
I gotta bring in our boy Deion here.
Do you believe?
Because I do feel that I feel like at this time next year, the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys is going to be Deion Sanders. Like I don't know, I just have this weird kind of nagging feeling about it. There is a lot going on with Colorado and the viewership and everything else. Everybody got caught into it last year. I like that one. And I love Travis Hunter. If my Carolina Panthers can't get themselves together this year, my consolation prize will probably be Travis Hunter, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, you get to fix offense and defense.
Just one
steal him.
Who's your third game for this weekend? Top 3 college football games to watch.
Yeah, one of the other few ranked matchups that we have this week: Tennessee versus NC State, and this game's going to be extremely lopsided. Neutral site game. NC State had some buzz coming into the year, but we have been quickly reminded that the ACC this season is not going to be very competitive. It's not going to produce many top teams. NC State looked brutal against Western Carolina, which is an FCS team, a quality FCS team, but it took until the fourth quarter for them to really separate. They had some issues trying to corral Cole Gonzalez, which is Western Carolina's quarterback. I think that's going to show up against Tennessee. And why this game is important to me is because I think that this is the start of a Nico I, who's the quarterback for Tennessee. This is going to be the start of his Heisman campaign to be in the conversation this year and then eventually next year. And we're going to be talking about him. We were just mentioning a potential superstar in Dylan Raiola. Nico has the billings of being one of the most premier talents in the country, and he's playing in an offense that's perfect for his skill set. We saw a lot of glimpses against Chattanooga. Now they got a real opponent. They could embarrass them, and this could just be a huge hype buildup after that performance.
Shout out to those in my area that have been hearing Tennessee's name the past couple of weeks. Shout out to Grimsley junior quarterback Faison Brandon, who's the number 1 ranked quarterback in the class of 2026, who committed to Tennessee.
Yep.
We actually had that video on Tobacco Road a couple of weeks back when he announced it at Grimsley, which is one of our host schools that we do football for. Got a little bit of time left. I want to pick your brain a little bit about something in the ACC that everyone's kind of talking about, and this intriguing game coming up here between App State going down to Clemson. Dabo just ain't gonna change, is he? Like he's really not gonna accept this portal. Like,
well, I didn't mean to cut you off, but this game, you're right. Him not changing with the portal is just going to be a dying. It's going to be his dying wish, I guess, to keep pounding this that he's not going to change and he's never going to go into the portal. I have a bet down on this game.
We're watching it like live, like the whole thing.
Right. I think we're beyond stubbornness at this point. I don't think that there's any recoverability. He's going to do it when it's too late if he ever does. Yeah. But I have a bet down on this game because this App State game, is the perfect opportunity for Dabo to go out there. It's a 17-point line and to just obliterate App State, and then to show up on Monday and tell everybody off of like, oh, you guys made it seem like our offense stunk and we needed to go in the portal. Yeah, right. Right. He's going to pull that on Monday. I can guarantee that he's going to do that. And he always does this. He always saves all of his energy for an opponent that doesn't really feel like it matters as much compared to earlier on in the season. So I wouldn't be surprised if Clemson doesn't put up a ton of points in this one.
See, and I'm the other way. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if App State actually wins. We had David Glenn on earlier this week, and he was like, who would you take position-wise from Clemson or App State? Would you take the App running back, quarterback, and wide receiver, or would you take the Clemson one? And we were kind of like, actually, we'd probably take the App State one at this point because DJ Uiagalelei, I don't know what's happened over the past 3 or 4 years with him where he's kind of, I don't know if I can even say he regressed. Like, he's kind of always been like this. Maybe he was just overhyped. I don't know. But Clemson feels like they're and not he's not at Clemson. I'm sorry.
Klubnik.
That's right, Kate Klubnik. It feels like their level of talent is just not the same as it was when you had like Kelly Bryant and Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson. Like, literally, Trevor Lawrence was sitting behind Deshaun Watson, and that's not there like anymore. Like, and just doing it through high school recruiting. The toothpaste is out of the bottle now. Like, I feel like he's 3 years behind now in recruiting. Yeah. And I don't know if they can catch up because you got kids coming out of high school playing against 23-year-old men coming out of the portal pretty much. And you can just craft a team. Look at what Colorado did. Like, literally, Florida State just spent $12 million in NIL money to go 0-2 to start the year out of the portal. So it's like, any quick thoughts on FSU before I get you out of here? And are they in trouble like many people think they are?
Yeah, I think that there's a real worry here. And you just brought up there with the transfer portal, living and dying by it. I think when you over invest in it, there's a right way to do it, which is recruiting through high school and then finding where those issues are to reinforce positions that are weak. But because they have gone so heavy in the portal this year, last year they had the right group of guys. This year they seemingly have a group of guys that are unmotivated. And when you have players that haven't been there for 3-4 years together, that haven't been through workouts and spring ball and summer, just grueling early wake ups for every single workout that you did, and you're building chemistry and you're getting to know the man next to you. Without all that, when you start 0-2 and you're getting punched in the mouth in the middle of a game like against Boston College, there's no way to motivate. There's no way to really get everybody to rally around one another. And I think that's where the problem lies when trying to invest too much in the transfer portal. They got a tough schedule. They might end up finishing 7-5
right now. I'm going to pull it up. Somebody had posted it on Twitter, and I looked at it. I was like, "Ooh, that doesn't look like it's going to get any better anytime soon." They've got
They're going to play Miami and Clemson.
Yeah. Wait, is this the right thing? Yeah. So they got Memphis Saturday, September the 14th, and then after that they got Cal at home, SMU. They get in October. They got Clemson, Duke, Miami, Carolina, Notre Dame. And I
was it 3 more losses?
All 5 of those, yeah. Like, I mean, ugh. And they got Florida at the end of the year. So, yeah,
the meltdown. It could really be a meltdown year for Norvell after he just got that huge extension, which is the volatility of trying to build through the portal.
And here in the state of North Carolina, everyone's just like karma. It's karma for all the trouble Florida State has caused the ACC over the past 2 years and going on and on about being the brand and everything else. For you guys to be 0-2 in a 10-day span to start the season, it's chef's kiss pretty much for everybody that's not a Florida State fan. You can follow Joe on X at Joe Deleone and go check out Ruffin and Joe. I saw you guys are getting some big numbers coming back for this new season and everything. Congratulations on all that. I hope it all keeps going. And, I'll definitely bring you back in and talk some college football here soon.
Of course. Thanks, Desmond.
Coming up, Ryan Stone will come in, give us his best bets, college and pro, for the weekend here on the Desmond Johnson Show. Welcome back to the Desmond Johnson Show. It's a football frenzy Friday. Coming around third base is Ryan Stone, who you're very familiar with, doing best bets for Tobacco Road Sports Radio. Ryan, there's a lot of good matchups here, college and pro, our first week of the NFL season. Give me some best bets here. Let's make some money for some people. What's your first bet for the weekend?
Well, I'll start with college, and I'm actually going to start with a bet that I'm kind of off of now. I took it on Sunday, but the line has moved 2.5 points. I took Texas -5. That is now against Michigan. That's now been bet all the way up to +7.5. So
that's at Michigan, huh?
Kind of off of that, yeah. But I kind of off of that, but if it came back down below a touchdown, I'd probably back it again. Michigan lost so much from last season, and I've heard the whole, well, they didn't show anything against Fresno State. I mean, you can say that if you want to, but they didn't want that game to be one score going into the fourth quarter, and that's exactly
right.
What it was. Yeah. So I'm not really buying it. But I've got to off of that unless it comes back down. I did take the -5 earlier in the week just for reference. In terms of other college football games on Saturday, one game I really like is the under in Iowa State, which the total is only 35, but that's the kind of game these two teams play. They play rock fights. They run the football. They punt. They play the field position game. 4 of the last 5 times these two teams have played, that total has gone under 35. So that's that's kind of been historically how these games have gone. Iowa State only scored 21 points last week against North Dakota.
Huh.
Iowa itself only scored 19 points the first 3 quarters against blanking on who they played, but it was another lowly opponent. So like under 35 in that matchup. It's one of those you kind of got to hold your nose and watch because it's going to be ugly to watch. But that's one that if you can avoid, you may want to shield your eyes from the TV from actually seeing it. Another one I like in college football, and I'm a little surprised I'm saying this, but I was surprised the spread was so high. I like Colorado plus 7.5 on the road against Nebraska. That number is too big. Nebraska has so much turnover in terms of their starters. I know they looked good last week. It's UTEP. UTEP is not good. They're an awful program. I know Colorado did not necessarily look great, but Colorado, granted, played an FCS team, but they played an FCS team that competes for national championships.
They're like the best FCS team. Yeah.
So I like Colorado. I'm not saying they're going to win the game, but I think it's close at Nebraska. I like Colorado plus 7.5. The last college football one I like, and this is kind of just a revenge factor from last season, Alabama against USF, South Florida. I like Alabama in the first half, -19. That was the game last year where the season kind of turned a little bit for Alabama. They looked absolutely awful in that game. The final score was 17-3 in that ball game last year. They did play Jalen Milroe. They ended up going to Jalen Milroe, and the rest is kind of history for Alabama after that. So I think they come out in the first half and really try to make a statement against South Florida this week.
It's crazy because I had Joe Deleone on before you from the Ruffin and Joe show on Bleav, and he picked 3 college football games to watch this weekend, and why. He picked Michigan, Texas, of course. That's kind of the marquee game, and he picked Colorado, Nebraska, and he talked about Dylan Raiola and the whole Deion factor and stuff. And I told him I honestly feel like Deion Sanders is going to be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys this time next year. Like he's not going to stay after Shadir's gone. I know he said he will and all this other stuff, and he's there for the long haul. He's never stayed anywhere long. Like no matter his whole career, he's never stayed anywhere long. Even NFL Network, he's got like a 4 or 5 year window and he's gone, to go do whatever else.
Even that school he started in Texas. When he was high school. It didn't last long.
He's gone.
And they got investigated. So
I could see him because Mike McCarthy didn't get a new deal, and let's say it all bottoms out, something happens. I could see Deion going over and coaching for Jerry Jones. That would make First Take and all these other talking head joints in the morning just explode if Deion became the.
Be able to persuade Jerry to trade up for Shador. That would be a real question in that situation.
Then come to find out that's why he hasn't signed Dak Prescott, because they kind of got this in, let's just see what they do. If they don't, we're just gonna scrap the whole thing and move on with Deion. Man, let's move over to the pros then. So. Opening weekend of the NFL season, Chiefs and Ravens are going on as we're taping this, so can't talk about that. But
did post those on Twitter.
Yeah. You got a Friday night game, you got Sunday games, you got a Monday night game. Yep. There's games all over the place. Give me some pro best bets.
So going to start similar to the last one. It's another bet that I took early in the week, but I'm now kind of off of, and that's the Friday night game. I really like the Packers in that game, but I liked it a lot better at +3 than at +2, which is where it's at now. I took +3, I believe, last weekend, so it's kind of moved down now to 2. So kind of off of that one. I'm going to make you happy here. I like the Panthers +4. I'm a believer. Part of it's a little bit of two things with this. I'm a believer in Canales helping Bryce Young. I liked what I saw at the end of the preseason.
You're a Tampa fan. You're familiar with him.
Yeah, and I know what he's done for Geno Smith and Baker Mayfield now. Mm-hmm. And then the other part is just the Saints brought everybody back, but for what?
They're old. They're so old.
I don't know what there is to be that optimistic about with the Saints unless they have found the rejuvenation machine down there in New Orleans. So I like the Panthers +4. Another game, you mentioned the Cowboys. I like the under 40. I think I took under 42, under 42.5. I'd still take it at under 41, which I think it currently is. That's the Cowboys and the Browns. The Cowboys, I mean, one, the Browns defense is great. It's probably a top 5 defense in the league. The Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb hasn't been in camp that long. They have a lot of turnover. Like, their starting running back room would have been great in 2018.
Yeah. Bringing Zeke back to the
years ago, unless Dalvin Cook turns the clock back, which, I wouldn't mind seeing. Like, I've always been a Dalvin Cook fan, but I don't think it's happening. But and again, like the Browns, they were better with Joe Flacco than they were with Deshaun Watson last season. So I don't buy the Browns offense either. Like, so I just don't see the points.
I think we've seen the best of Deshaun Watson. Like, I don't see him rebounding back to 20. That was when he was considered a top 5 quarterback. That was pre-COVID. So that was like what, 2018,
19, maybe. I don't know. I don't remember.
I mean, we've gone like almost 5 years, and we're still kind of waiting. He got 200 and something million guaranteed in those 5 years too, and has played horrifically, or he's always hurt. I don't know. I just don't see him, because now he's got to be what, 30, close to 30. I guess
got to be up there. Other thing is Dallas's defense was pretty good last season. They forced a lot of turnovers. So I just don't think even if Deshaun plays well that they're going to put up that many points. So I like the under in Cowboys and the Browns. A prop bet I like for this weekend is I'll go to the Colts and Texans game, which I actually think is low key one of the better games of Sunday.
Yeah.
I like Anthony Richardson, the quarterback for the Colts, to score a rushing touchdown. Played 4 games last season. He scored 4 touchdowns. So they use his legs a lot. Yeah. So I like Anthony Richardson in that spot. And then the last one, I'm going to go back to the NFC South. I like the Commanders +3.5 against the Buccaneers. I'm not saying they're going to win the game, but I think Jaden Daniels, and there just seems to be a lot of good energy coming out of Washington. I think Tampa there may be a regression team a little bit this year.
I mean, we'll lost your offensive coordinator. Yeah,
we'll see what happens. They brought everybody back, but we'll see what happens. But I just think Washington has a lot of good momentum coming into the season, and I really like Jaden Daniels, so I'll take the Commanders +3.5.
Yeah, I think Jaden Daniels could be that this year's CJ Stroud in terms of just kind of where this come from out of nowhere type of thing.
Him and Caleb Williams both, really. I mean,
yeah, dude, we were talking about Caleb Williams the other day. It's like, has a rookie quarterback come into a better situation than Caleb Williams, where he's going to have literally DJ Moore, 1,000-yard receiver. He's going to have Rome Odunze, a top 10 wide receiver draft pick. Keenan Allen, a 1,000-yard receiver.
Good defense.
The decent defense. The tight end, wasn't it Kismet?
Cole Kmet.
Yeah, he's
DeAndre Swift.
DeAndre Swift at running back. Like, it's just like, so I mean, he's coming in like it's the table is set for them.
Well, the only problem for the Bears is I think the division they're in.
Yes, because out of all this between what Green Bay did to Dallas at the end of last year has everybody talking about them, and then Jordan Love getting his extension. And it feels like no one's talking about Detroit, where we left the year like this is Detroit's division going forward. And then we just forgot about them or something because we were so enamored with the Bears and everybody else. And then with Minnesota, I thought they were going to be okay until McCarthy got hurt. I thought McCarthy was going to be the best looking quarterback out of this whole batch, like out of the gate. And then, but then again, they have Justin Jefferson, and apparently either me or you can throw the ball to him and he's going to catch it. So I think he's
going to get his numbers.
Yeah, he's going to get his numbers either way, and he got his bag. So congratulations to him. So we got all that. I'm very excited about the season. I'm very excited that you picked the Panthers +4 because we haven't had any kind of good vibes with the Panthers going on 5-6 years. I've hosted Bleav in Panthers for 5 seasons. We've yet to have a winning season with me as the host. So hopefully
I'm not saying that's happening. I'm saying I like them to lose by 3 points or less. I'm not saying they're winning. I'm saying they're covering the 4. That's all I'm saying.
No. I'll take what I heard before. That's good enough for me. That's it for the Desmond Johnson Show for Friday, Football Frenzy Friday. Get out of your lunch break. Go on and get back to work. We will see you bright and early. Well, not bright and early. We'll see you around lunchtime on Tuesday of next week. We'll recap everything with Jalen Gilkey from WFMY and much more.